If you died sooner than expected, would anyone's life actually be different because you were here? Not because you paid bills, not because you stayed busy, not because you worked hard and kept promising you would be present later. I mean different. Would your wife say, "He made me feel safe"? Would your children remember your patience or only your pressure? Would the younger version of you respect the man you became, or would the truth be quieter than that? You were here. You survived. You produced. You carried responsibility. But somewhere along the way, you stopped making people better. And maybe that is the sentence you have been avoiding. There was a man in his 20s who thought he had time. He was healthy, driven, strong, the kind of man who believed his body would obey him because it always had. He trained, worked, competed, performed, and moved through life like the future was guaranteed. Then one ordinary morning, breathing became difficult. At first, it looked like nothing, a temporary problem, something medicine would fix. But a scan revealed something in his chest, a shadow, a mass, a thing that should not have been there. One doctor looked at him and gave him 6 words no man is ready to hear. "You have 6 months to live." A second doctor said the same thing, then a third. And suddenly the man who thought he had decades was forced to sit inside the possibility of an ending.
At first, he did what most men do when life finally stops lying to them. He went numb. Because when you are young, you do not think about legacy. You think about progress. You think about the next milestone, the next win, the next version of yourself you are trying to prove. You assume meaning will come later. Later, after the money. Later, after the promotion. Later, after the kids are older. Later, after life slows down. But death does not care how busy you were. It does not care how many plans you had saved for someday. It asks one question. What changed because you were here? And when that man sat alone with that question, the answer broke him. Nothing. Not because he was evil, not because he was lazy, not because he had wasted every hour, but because he had mistaken achievement for impact. He had worked, he had performed, he had built a life that looked responsible from the outside. But when he searched for one life that was clearly better because he had been present, he struggled to find it. That is a different kind of fear. Maybe no doctor has told you 6 months. Maybe there is no scan, no hospital, no diagnosis. But you have still felt the warning. You feel it when your child wants your attention and your first instinct is irritation. You feel it when your wife stops explaining what hurts because she has learned you are too tired to hear it. You feel it when your life is full, but your soul feels untouched. That is not weakness. That is your conscience telling you that productivity has become your hiding place. The man eventually discovered it was not cancer. The doctors had been wrong. What looked like death was something rare, serious, but survivable. And in one moment, the sentence was lifted. He was not dying, he was going home, but not as the same man. That night he stayed in the hospital, and in the bed beside him was another young man, about the same age. But his story was different. He had lost his leg to cancer. He was not receiving good news. He was not going home with relief. He was still inside the fight. And the first man, the one who had just been given his life back, did not know what to say. How do you explain relief to someone still surrounded by fear? How do you celebrate your second chance beside someone who may not get one? So he lay there quietly, listening, thinking, feeling the strange guilt of survival. That is when the promise changed. At first he had promised, "If I survive, I will make my life matter." But after that night, the promise became heavier, because life was no longer just something he had been given. It was something he owed, not in guilt, in responsibility. And this is where most men miss the lesson. A second chance is not just more time. It is a demand. It demands that you stop living like your presence is optional. It demands that you stop postponing love until your schedule is lighter. It demands that you stop measuring your life only by what you build and start measuring it by who breathes easier because you exist. The people around you do not just need your income. They need your attention. They do not just need your protection. They need your tenderness. They do not just need your advice. They need to feel seen. And that is hard for a man who has been trained to believe that being valuable means being useful. So he started remembering the people who had made him feel seen. One man came to mind, a manager from years earlier, the kind of leader who noticed more than output. One night, the team was buried in work. Everyone was exhausted. Deadlines were closing in, and the young man had a race the next morning, but he had already decided to skip it, because that is what ambitious men do. They sacrifice the personal. They bury the human. They tell themselves being needed is the same as being respected. But his manager told him to leave, not because the work did not matter, because the man mattered. That was the lesson. Not everything important looks urgent. Sometimes leadership is remembering what matters to someone else and protecting it when they are too afraid to protect it themselves.
Years later, that same man carried the lesson into his own leadership. He did not become less ambitious. He just stopped making ambition his god. He still built, he still worked, he still led, he still pursued excellence. But now he understood something most men learn too late. Your success is not automatically a gift to the people around you. Sometimes your success becomes the thing that takes you away from them. Sometimes your goals become the excuse for your absence. Sometimes the man who wins outside becomes impossible to reach inside. That is why this message is not telling you to quit building. Build. But build in a way that does not cost you your soul. Because one day, the scoreboard will get quiet. And when it does, the question will not be how many people admired you. It will be, who was healed by your presence? Who became braver because you believed in them? Who started again because you saw something in them they had forgotten? Who felt less invisible because you chose to pay attention? There was another man in his story, a younger employee, overqualified, discouraged, trying to provide, quietly breaking under rejection. Most people would have overlooked him because his title was small. But someone saw him. Someone read what he wrote. Someone noticed the mind behind the role. Someone gave him responsibility before the world gave him permission. And that belief changed his life. Not because promotion heals every wound, but because being seen can interrupt a man's despair. There are men around you right now who are not asking for help because they have learned to hide collapse behind competence. And you keep waiting for a dramatic calling. But maybe your calling this week is simple. Notice somebody. So here's the execution. First, stop confusing pressure with purpose. Pressure makes you react. Purpose makes you present. If your life is so crowded that you cannot see the people in front of you, you are not disciplined. You are distracted with responsibilities. Second, choose one person this week and make them feel seen. Not with a generic message, not with advice they did not ask for, not with a speech about what they should do. See them. Ask a real question.
Remember something that matters to them. Encourage the part of them nobody notices. Tell your son what you admire in him. Tell your wife what you have taken for granted. Tell a friend, I see how hard you have been trying. Third, become the kind of man whose ambition leaves people stronger, not smaller. Stop using tiredness as a license to be harsh. Stop using stress as permission to disappear. Stop using provision as proof that you are present. Stop calling yourself a good man while the people closest to you only get the leftovers. A good man is not just measured by what he carries. He is measured by what grows near him. Does peace grow near you? Does courage grow near you? Does honesty grow near you? Does your family become more alive around you, or do they shrink to survive your mood? That is the confrontation. Many men want to be remembered as strong, but they are not building memories of safety. They want legacy, but they are not leaving moments. They want respect, but they are not giving attention. They want to matter, but they keep postponing the small acts that make a life matter. You do not need a death sentence to wake up. You need honesty. Look at the life you are building and ask, if this ended sooner than I expected, who would be different because I was here? And if the answer hurts, do not run from it. Use it. Let it reorder your calendar. Let it soften your voice. Let it change how you walk into your home. Let it make you call the person you keep meaning to call. Let it make you apologize without defending yourself. Let it make you mentor the young man nobody is noticing. Let it make you present before regret has to teach you what presence would have saved. Life is not only measured by what you built, it is measured by who you left better. And you still have time. That is the mercy. You still have time to become the man someone thanks God for. You still have time to be the friend who reached out before the funeral. You still have time to become the man your younger self needed. But do not wait for your 6 words. Do not wait for the hospital room. Do not wait for the diagnosis. Do not wait until life scares you into clarity. Start today. See someone. Strengthen someone. Leave someone better. Because the day will come when all your achievements are quiet. And when that day comes, the only thing that will still speak is the life you poured into other people. So ask yourself tonight before you sleep, who is better because I am here? And tomorrow, live in a way that gives that question an answer.